Alright. Look at this. What is this? Ooh, E. So, a while back, I say a while back, but I've been trying to draw pictures for many months. It's a pain in the ass. So I did this with Slash earlier in the week. I think last Sunday or so. And I went through all of these with him, and we looked over them, and he gave me opinions and critique. I'm very appreciative of that. It's very helpful, and he's still helping me. But I figured I would do a stream where I can just kind of pretty much do the same thing I did with him, but show off what I've been doing and kind of look at the progress that has been going on with it. So what I got these side by side, so I'm going to show you. The left will be mine, the right will be the reference. So, generally speaking, the way this was, how do I explain it? So, there's Akihito Yoshifumi, I believe his name is, I can't remember. But he had a series that he did where he just does drawing practice. So, that's kind of what I did to follow along. So this is an example. This is the head video. So he did more than just like these, but I followed it. And thanks to my knowledge that I've accumulated, I understood why he was putting the things he did. So these are my first attempts at it, and they're long, they're rough, they're color coded, and they're a pain in the ass. And like I said, this is only 3 of them. And he did multiple examples. He does multiple examples with construction work, and it's all very helpful. So what I decided to do was, what I would do is I'd watch a video, and then I would grab 4 references of my choosing and try to apply those methods to them for a draw. And these are what I started with. So, let me grab the ref. Number 1, that's not the right one. Number 1, this is the first one I did. Let me try and get these right up. So I also have the construction under it. As you can see, the construction looks like a goblin. It's pretty rough, and I maybe put a little more effort into it than I should have, despite how rough it actually is. And then when I made the construction, I tried to follow the ref. I ditched the hack because I didn't want to do it. But this was the first one that I did. So you see how there's construction kind of under the head that I was using roughly. Obviously you don't have to adhere to your construction one-to-one, but it helps. But you can see how it stops at the neck, and then the shoulders and the collar, that's all freeform, baby. Which is to say, it was scratchy and unconfident. But this is the first one that I did. I will say, going forward, chat, there was a reason. There's a reason why I had to change the category. There's nothing here that's gonna get me banned, but there is stuff that's a little spicy. But it's for the sake of practice more than anything. But that's not really a worry right now because we're still in head. So that was the first one I did. That was Flan. So here's the second one I did. Ooh, ah. All right. Ah. This is the second one. So this one I think is interesting because in a turn of events, I kind of got it to be the same head size. And the reason for that is because at this point, when I was doing the head constructions, my heads were misshapen. Which is to say they either weren't long enough, or they were too long, or they were too wide. It just so happened that this particular one is already a very wide head in general. So it worked out really well. But you can even see down here specifically how, like, you see how the way my jawline is? It extends past, it goes in, and then the jawline's down here. The jawline is down here for the construction, but then it's up here. don't know why I'm on this. Hold on. Let me go back to my... Is that my right brush? I think so, yeah. Yeah, that's the right brush, okay. So like I said, construction is not to be, it's very good and very helpful, but it's not like it's one-to-one. Okay. They're not always one-to-one, but yeah, so the ears, the hat, and the hair. So at this point in time, like, I'm doing the hair as I see it. Don't worry, it takes a while, but this was the second one I did. So these take about a day or two, maybe 3, depending on how I feel, because some days I wake up and I don't want to be alive. That's not... Okay, that sounded really bad, but that's not what I meant. I just meant that some days you wake up and you don't feel like doing anything. So it's hard to get the motivation to work on something. That's what I meant. All right, here's the next one. So this one was a bit rough. Because there's a couple aspects that didn't translate well into what I was doing. The biggest one, of course, is the cigarette. So the cigarette is the light source on this image. This one has very dark lighting, and it's illuminated by the lit cigarette. Also, the way the eyes are in the reference are really unique, and I could not replicate that, as you can see. So, and of course the clothes just kind of whatevered. Getting the head angle right was also proving to be a little too difficult as well. But I tried to do it with head. So I started with a front-facing head, then a side view, and then I'm doing a front-facing head but tilted to the side. And it's hard to commit to the angle, as you can see. So this one was rough. I do think a big issue with it is the lighting and the effects on the eyes. But even then, this one is not too great. But it's all about the reps, the practice. And the last one I did for heads, this one was a stupid angle. Very stupid angle. Okay. There we go. So you'll notice right away that she's got a coconut head. That's just how that has to be. So the angle on this one's kind of fucking ridiculous. It's a miracle I was able to pull any of it off at all. But the back of the head is too long, but it's also long in the reference. And I actually ended up shrinking it multiple times on my own. She's got a coconut head. It is Marissa. At least that's what I've been told. That's what I've been told by the tag system. Surprisingly, though, the further eye here turned out wonderfully. I don't know how. And the ponytail is okay as well. And the bangs are fine. Like, most of it, it's pretty fine, all things considered. I'm pretty happy with the outcome of this one. I'm mostly just impressed that I managed to do the eyes right. That's the part that impresses me. Because that shit is a weird angle. But that was the last one that I did. For heads, and this is specifically for heads, remember that. This is specifically for heads. So the goal of these four with the references was using the head-only exercise. So that's why you see it's only the head. And the head is tough. The head is complicated. We'll close these. So the next one, chat, is for neck and shoulders. Head is a bit wider in the ref, the one causing your head to look like a coconut head. No, mine's definitely too wide. Don't worry. The ref itself its head is too long, but mine is also long because even though I try to adjust for it, it's still too long. The thing is, when you use references, real people are gonna be more accurate, and images are gonna have some cheating or incorrectness. But sometimes I can't tell if the reference I'm using is incorrect or not. So it's one of the dangers of. So the next set, chat, this is for shoulders and neck. So we had head and now we're on neck and shoulders. This is specifically for the upper part of the body. This is for the upper part of the body. Head and shoulders. Here's our first one. So, as you can see with the construction, we have the head again. So the idea that I'm doing, chat, is that I started with the head, and now I'm working on neck and shoulders. But instead of just doing only that, I'm advancing from the head. So I'm still always doing the head, but now I have to do more of the body. There has to be more construction for the body, which is what's going on here. So this one, I could not get the bags under the eyes. Couldn't do it. But that's a pen issue, literally. That's just a pen issue. Because I didn't use any of the pen. There's some light shading. But the interesting thing about this one is that mine... The position on mine's face is not incorrect. But, as you can see, my Remu has a longer face. My Remu has a longer face. She, like... Position-wise to landmarks, it's accurate, but in general, my Remu is... She's not as squished. I have this thing where I have trouble making anime faces. According to Slash, the less realistic the reference I have, the more realistic that mine ends up becoming. Which, it seems like that's obvious if you think about it, but I think what he's trying to say is that somehow, whenever I draw something anime, I have a gravitation towards making things feel more correct to myself. So they end up with, and that's kind of what I want in my art anyway, so it works out, but I don't notice these things until kind of after the fact. So this is the first one I did. As you can see, it's front facing. So that's usually how I go with it, is I take one that's front facing, I try to get one that's at a 3/4 angle, and then I try to get ones that have various tilts. So that was the first one I did. Second one I did, this one was not too great. The reference was also quite hard to follow. Okay. Because this one's very, very bright, as you can see. This one's very bright. So there's numerous issues. There's numerous issues with mine. The eye placement is one. Don't look at the eye placement. But I learned that tilting the shoulders is actually pretty hard. It's actually pretty hard to do. Because the shoulders do move. It feels like they don't sometimes, but they do move. The issue that with shoulders I find is that when shoulders move forward, on a 2D image, it just makes your shoulders go closer, right? So when you bring your shoulders forward, you can see that arc in 3D and it's fine. But on 2D, when you replicate that arc, you're basically just making the shoulders shrivel up into the body, and it makes it look incorrect. It's like foreshortening. I mean, I guess it is foreshortening. But yeah, also getting the body to tilt as well is tough. This reference was hard to follow. The eye placement is pretty slanted, like I said. It's very slanted. I fought this one for longer than I should have, and ultimately it didn't turn out the best. But like I said, it's all about getting the reps in. So the next one I did after that is this one. And this one, I actually got to talk more about the shoulders as well. So specifically here with this one. So I have the construction. So I got the tilt, and I don't have as much of an angle. But I actually, as you can see, I adjusted the collarbone for that. So based on the reference, her shoulders actually push forward. But it's hard to tell, but the collarbone looked weird to me on mine, so I adjusted the collarbone based on what I thought was correct on mine. So the main difference from mine to the reference, is the fact that, like, her shoulders pushed forward, mine is more to the side. I'd say my neck is longer, but I think they're pretty much equal. But I did this is when I first started to really experiment with doing line weight as well. Into the hair, into the bangs. And also, I got to practice fur textures with her ears. And I think they turned out very nice. There's a decent amount of texture in there. and they're nice and light, and they're varied, and they're sporadic, and they actually fit pretty well, I think. I think I did a good job with that, so I think this one was one of the better ones, for sure. And we got one more in here for neck and shoulders. This one. Okay. This one I made a creative decision to change, and that the neck, I shrunk the neck. Honey, I shrunk the neck. So the angle on this one, like, I can't explain it, but it's the, you know exactly what the kind of angle it is. You can see by the eyes, the direction of the eyes, you know this angle. I can't explain it, and capturing it was also quite difficult. It was pretty difficult. So the main differences in mine is, funny enough, mine is not as long as the reference. I deliberately shrunk the neck because I thought it was too long in the reference. The thing is, usually these longer necks are more present in a more masculine type of characters, but also, like, you can tell by the structure of the face for this one that this Sagume is very handsome, and the neck, I think, helps reflect that. So I tried to goo her a little bit, I guess. I tried to goo her a little bit because I felt the neck was just a little too long. And the thing is, it feels like it's not that long when if you don't look at if you kind of cut off your vision of the neck at the collar. But if you remember that the neck is extending, if you remember the neck is extending like this, that's when it, that's kind of how it. But I feel like your brain sees this and cuts that off, and it's like, this is the neck. That's okay. That's fine. It's not like it doesn't work, but it's one of those things that just personally I'm not huge on it. So I tried to change it on mine. Also, the expression. So the expression on this one is very sharp. The reference has a very sharp expression. One of, I'd say, that gives indifference, more aloofness. Mine looks like she's more concerned. She's not as... Her head's not pinned as far back. And I think the biggest reason is because you can see her... You can see the eyebrows. I didn't opt to cover those. They're also higher. They're higher than the references, but they're not being covered by the bangs, so you can see more of the expression on the eyebrows, and it looks like concern. That's kind of how I feel about that one. Overall, though, I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad by any means. But this one I took a pretty deliberate... I tried to be pretty deliberate with adjustments. The tilt of the eyes was also tough. I'm not even sure if it's really correct. Tilting the eyes, they look a little off with the longer I look at it, but it is what it is. So that was for neck and shoulders. So again, all of these are... all the construction that you see is from the Akihito playlist. From the Akihito playlist. And there's a lot of them. I skipped feet, if you're wondering. I skipped feet. I didn't bother with feet. My one doesn't look as menacing. I think, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, the reference for the Sagume is... it has quite a... What's the word? It has quite an intimidating stance to it. But I think mine's more lighthearted. It's like a sillier expression. So after neck and shoulders chat, we got torsos. What is torsos? Torsos is essentially the upper body. So that's when I started getting references for the upper body, mainly focused on the rib cage area, not the arms, hands, or anything like that. But obviously when you're doing torso, you're going to see these parts. So finding references that were mainly focused on torso was not a challenge, I suppose, but I've tried to be pretty picky about my my references. So here's number one. This one, as you can see, I cut off deliberately as well to try and keep the focus on as much of the upper body as possible. This one showed me that a number of things are very difficult when it comes to making things. Number one, smiles with all full teeth showing and closed eyes. So you see I have the head construction again, I have the neck and the shoulders, and now I have the rib cage in here. And as you can also see in the construction, the head is fucking massive, and then the rib cage is itty bitty. So, this is a problem that happens. When you draw the head in a vacuum, its size is its size is not like, it's like when you draw one thing, its size is undecided until there's something else in the frame. You know how a banana for scale, right? If you drew a banana, be like, oh, that's a banana, and you drew something next to the banana, now you know how big the thing is because you see the thing that you're more like, you understand contextually what's going on there. So what happened a lot is I draw the head, and it's like, okay, that's fine, and then I draw the rest of the body, and then it would be like a fucking Edelmau, where the head would just be like massive, huge, and then the body would be like, you can't support that. Like, all my characters are playing on big head mode. So the thing is, chat, this head that you see right here is shrunk down from what it actually was originally. This is the shrunken down version, and I'm saying it's too big. So my jaw's too long. I think my eyes are a bit too far spaced. And the clothes are pretty free-balled, but I am trying to follow the reference, but it's still pretty stiff overall. It's still pretty stiff, pretty ragged. I deliberately went with a front-facing torso that hid the hands, because as you can see with my construction, there's nothing for arms going on there. It's not the focus. I did not try to make it the focus. The construction was only going up to the parts that I learned, and then everything else was just redrawing from the reference. So that's kind of how that went. It's a very good reference. How long would you say you spent per image? So my ass likes to look away from the screen sometimes and just like not do any work and then come back in a bit. And I'm really fucking bad for that because I will literally watch it. I will literally sit there and watch an ad play on the stream that I am watching. I'll be like, this is a fascinating ad. Like, motherfucker, stop watching the ad and go back to work. But sometimes, I don't know, I just need to break my fucking gaze away from the damn thing for a second and just be like, okay. But sometimes, depending on how it's going, those breaks take a little longer, or they're more frequent because there's something going on that I'm not liking and I'm not sure how to fix it. But sometimes I can get into the groove and just kind of go with it, but there's a lot of times where I just feel like my brain is getting fried the longer I look at it, and I just stop looking at it for a couple seconds. So my processes take a long time because I am inefficient. That's the most simplest way I can say it. I am inefficient. And also because I'm really trying to focus on getting the construction correct, I'm spending a lot of time on the parts that you're not even supposed to be seeing. So that was the first one, front facing. The next one I did, this is probably my least favorite one that I did. I'm not particularly happy with this one, but like I said, I did it. This one was fucking hard and kind of bullshit. And realistically, I probably shouldn't have even touched this one with a 10-foot pole. But I thought it would be okay, because I was like, oh, this is a 3/4 angle pointed down. That seems handy. And I gave it a shot, and man, oh man, was that not easy. Oh my god. Yeah, it's fully painted too, so that's another difficulty of it. But as you can see, I spent a lot of time adjusting this one. The nose in particular, I could not get it right. The hair, the angle on the body, the sharpness of it, just the clothes. I'm really not happy with this one. I don't have a lot to say about it because I finished it. I tried my best, but it was very difficult. It was a rough pick. I probably should have picked something else. But yeah. I just don't have much to say about that one. Okay, so the next one I have, this one is by the same artist as the Rumia. I tried to divvy up the artists because different styles learn more, but this one was pretty different. So I went with this one because it was different enough. Yomu. Okay. So this one's kind of interesting to me because there's aspects to it that are correct but not correct, if that makes sense. So, the position's there. So, compared to the reference, mine's not looking up, and mine's not tilted as much. Torso-wise. But the thing is that despite it not being correct to the reference, anatomically speaking, it's not incorrect either. That's the part that I'm satisfied with. Is that even though mine is not as tilted, I have the clothes drawn along the body in such a way that it's not necessarily incorrect. The arms are fine in the position they're at. The face is in a fine position. Fine, quote unquote. It's in a fine position relative to the way the face is, the head is aimed. So, it is what it is. So there's a number of differences to it, but I do remember fighting the eyes for quite a bit. And ultimately it was a losing battle, because I was never going to get the eyes to the reference, because I didn't have the head accurate to it. This alien is mocking me. The reference for ribcage sticks out more. Well, that's what I'm saying though, right? Like on mine here, on mine here, uh, it hold on, it flows downwards like this, and then on the reference, so it's like this is where the sternum is, right? But then it goes much further over to the side before it starts looping down. Mine gets to the sternum here, and then it doesn't go nearly, it doesn't really have as much of a dynamic angle. It doesn't have as much of a dynamic angle. The thing is, the biggest issue with it really is that if I just push this shoulder back and I push this shoulder in, it would be better. It would look better. The issue is less in the torso and more in the it's less in the torso and more in the arm position. But it's pretty common to pull back on exaggeration, I've noticed. It's very easy to pull back on exaggeration, and you end up stiffening things by accident because it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like it should go that far. But sometimes you have to let that shit fly, but it's hard to do that. Like I said, I'm trying to follow this reference, right? But then while I'm trying to follow this reference that's very dynamic, mine ends up stiff, and it's like, how did that happen? It's just something that happens. Your by your mind just does that. All right, here's the last one for that. So mind your hands, please. Mind your hands. Bum bum bum. Big cat, very big cat. So for this one, uh, head angled down into the side. Mine's a little too down, so as you can see on the final, the construction's pretty off to it. Rib cage is also quite tilted. So an issue that I was having with this one was that the way I understand boobs is that the boobs themselves, obviously they're the pecs, and they go above the rib cage. Like when the rib cage splits, the boobs are above it. But when the boobs get big, the boobs start to go over the skin, and eventually they do kind of cross into the rib cage. You know, I was trying to figure out how the fuck does this work relative to my own construction of what I'm drawing. It was not really, as you can see the construction back there. It's kind of weird. It's really weird, and I just don't really fully understand it. But I can see in the reference with the shading and the fact that you can see the center of the stomach a little bit here. You can see the line in the center of the stomach, and the shading. I know the shading is basically following the boobs, but to an extent, as you can see here, this is where the rib cage is. I don't know if you can see my magnifying glass actually. This is where the rib cage is, right here, and then it starts going into the waist. So this would be the rib cage. This is the shading, but also the rib cage line. So that's kind of how that's going. So in the reference, it's like the rib cage is below the boobs. But for mine, with I put the construction, the boobs are like completely over the rib cage, so the rib cage isn't really correct, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Uh, the eyelashes are also massive. I'm gonna zoom out now before I get in trouble. But again, I got to practice a little bit of animal ears, braids. Which, by the way, braids are something that are pretty complex, and the way I did them is extremely amateurish. But it's fine. For now, it's fine. It's fine for now. So this one, yeah, this one is what it is. It's not amazing, but I did what I could. I did what I could with it. Tried my best. And as you can probably tell from the last couple of them, the further down the body I got, the harder it became to really understand what the body looked like under clothes. So at that point, I needed to start finding references that were a little more revealing, skin-wise. So, after torsos was the waist, which brought us to this. Okay. This was the best one I could find that was a front-facing waist. And you know what? I didn't even get the length right. I did not get the length right. This shit is insane. But you see with mine, I have the construction. Head, rib, and then pelvis. Pelvises are... I fucking hate pelvises. I really hate pelvises. I really do. But as you can see, I ended up getting the crotch line to where the end of my pelvis was. But if you look at the reference, because I know you are, you'll see that it goes much further down than that. So my waist is heavily pulled up. So I need to essentially grab it and pull it down. I need to grab it and pull it down. But aside from that, the position of the rib cage seemed okay. I overshot it, mind you. So a lot of extension. The shoulders kind of rounded as well. The hair is very flowy, but at the same time, doing line weight in the hair mainly, and following the reference without making my own real blocking takes its time. So yeah, that was the best one I could find that was front facing for it, and it's very detailed. There's a lot of shading in the skin and whatnot, but I wasn't touching color. No. But yeah, as you can see, the pelvis on that one came up pretty short. So the next one I did after that is this one. Okay. We got this one, Tenchi. So, my biggest trouble with this one, I found, so little sticks for arms. So this one, I ended up shrinking the rib cage, and the pelvis looks like a fucking disaster zone, but it's okay. And ultimately, I moved the final drawing further down anyway. But the biggest issue I had with this one was getting the position of the head correct, because with the way it is on the reference, she's looking downwards. And I did do that, but I kept feeling like I wasn't getting the face the right length. And also, I don't like hats. I don't like hats because I'm never sure where on the head I need to put the hat to make sure the hat is resting on the head. Because whenever I try to put hats on, I always feel like I'm putting it literally on top of their head, and it's just like floating. But it's supposed to be put on their head. Hats are really annoying like that. So I think the hat should be lower, or the rim should be lower, but also I think the face is like longer, or I don't really know. But aside from that, aside from my issue with that, it's pretty good. The main issue aside, like, my main issue with it is something that doesn't really, like, relative to what I have drawn, mine works fine. So it's mostly just me lamenting that I didn't get it exactly to the reference, but that doesn't really matter. So that one was aimed up view and side view, still pretty standard, a little bit of a hip sway. The next one I did was fucking swinging. Absolutely swinging. Okay. Okay. So this one is so, like, animated. Very animated indeed. Very, very big flow line to it. Just, like, down, down, down. Very flowy. And you know what? I think I did a pretty good job capturing it. I also spent way too long on the bikini, but that's fine. I think for the most part, aside from this eye right here, that eye is not That eye has some issues the longer you look at it, so don't look at it too long. That eye has some issues. The biggest issue I have with this one was the hair. So you'll notice in the reference, it's portrait. It's portrait style. Mine, it's very wide. And the reason for that is because I did not wrangle the hair back inwards. So the hair all comes back inwards for a portrait. Mine shoots out. And I realized when cropping it, either I cut all that hair out, or I crop around it, and then I have like a fucking wide scale image. But it sucks to cut shit out when you draw it, right? It does kind of suck to cut it out, but it's important for getting it to be a proper portrait scenario. So this one took some time, but I think I got most of the twists correct. And the arm position, the hand as well. The hand is just freeballed as well. Like there's no construction for that. Didn't concern myself too much with that, but this one took quite a lot of time. Okay, and then the last one I did. This one was a special. This one was a little special. Very different than what I suppose I was used to. And what anyone would be used to. Okay. That's on the wrong side. There we go. Okay. So, this is the first one that actually was a side profile that I did. And I didn't really have any experience with side profiles, so I kind of had to figure it out based on what I knew already and what I thought it would work like. The back with the shoulders as well, and I made the regular cage really big, but then also extending the pelvis box. You see how it's like shooting out. I included the glutes on it because I was like, okay, the glutes are obviously going to be bigger than the pelvis box. And well, then I made them even bigger than the glutes. So yeah, great. All right. Okay. So an issue I have with this one was that getting like the bend in the back to like, because obviously the butt is in the front of the camera and everything kind of rides forward. So trying to kind of get that curvature and body size accurately to that. I feel like I didn't get her. I feel like she's leaned too far forward. But the head turned out pretty good, though. I think the head turned out pretty good. It's surprisingly difficult to make eyes that are just like slants. But positioning-wise, everything kind of worked out. I did spend way too long adjusting the butt to make it like proper. And then I made a line for the hand to give it more context than just, you know, floating in space. But this one was pretty unique since it is waists, but it, you know, it's from the back. Mixtures and curvature. So that was for waists. Okay. That was for waists. And after waists was arms. Okay. Arms. Number 1, arms. Big guy. Okay. So, construction-wise on this one, arms are a weird construction. Big-ass neck, wide-ass rib cage, and honestly, again, pelvis isn't long enough. Just like the Megumu. Although this time, I actually didn't end up stopping the pelvis at the construction point, which I probably should have. I should have pulled the legs further down. The head took fucking forever to get like even halfway decently correct. But I think I got the overall shape well. He does have small hands. I know he has a small hand, but that I followed the reference for that. I should have made his hand bigger. Should have made the hand bigger. But yeah, the head took quite a number of adjustments until I was happy with it. Quite a number of adjustments. But this was the best front-facing like arm torso combo I could get. And I was like, it's good. It was good. There's some issues with it, but there weren't a lot of references to go for. I figured if I was going to end up doing Renosuke, it would be good to do it with one where I can see his whole upper body. So that was the first one. Next one after that is... Was it this one? Yes, it was. Okay. Arms. So this one is not nearly as detailed in its musculature, but I liked it, so I wanted to give it a shot. Because it had arms raised above head, and I thought that was good to go for. So the angle on it was pretty tough, because it's camera facing, pointing up towards her. My head became a little more normal, and mine is not leaned back as much, which you'll notice if you look at the general shoulder area. See, she's leaned back more. Mine has the arm more forward, but I have the hand positions in the right spot. I got the ball above her head and the tube around her arm, so that's correct. So really, it's just a matter of slight twist in the shoulder, and the legs. The legs are funny because they're like elastic. I like the legs are funny to me because there are a number of them I was looking at where like legs are pretty detailed, but because they're cut off above the knee, the legs kind of feel like rubber. And then the wings are pretty horrendous, but to be honest with you, I just kind of put them there because they were there. They're not very nice looking, but they weren't the focus. They were an afterthought anyway. The important part is everything else. I think mine's torso isn't as long as well. That's another thing. Mine does not have as long of a torso, and it probably should. Mine's thinner. But overall, I think this one turned out well. Harder angle than I thought, which is pretty much what I'm going to say about literally everything I do. Alright, so this next one I did, I don't particularly like either. This one, I think, had a little too many issues with it, and maybe I shouldn't have used it for arms, but I thought the fact that one was up and above and one was going backwards would be good. So for this one, she's leaned forward. So head tilted, and then torso is pushed forward, but then pelvis is pushed in the back. I'm not really sure how to do that. Like, I kind of tried with the stomach ball, and then the pelvis ended up being kind of flat. So a lot of adjustment was made for that, which caused some issue. But the hand turned out pretty okay, actually. I think the arms are good as well. I just hope the tilt is right. The head is not as tilted, and the eyes are off-center. I changed the bangs because I don't like short bangs, but I think the back of the hair is also too far to the side. So the more I look at this one, the less I think it turned out well. But it's weird. I was working on it, and it seemed like it was going fine, and then I got really tired. I went to bed, and I got up the next day, and I finished it. I was like, okay. And then I was fine with it, but then when I looked at it again, I was like, that's a lot of issues. And then I just, at that point, it was already done. So, it was already done. Alright, and the last one for arms, which, if you look at it, it probably shouldn't have been done for arms, but it was, is this one. This one is way too much going on here for arms alone, that's for sure. But again, I thought it was good for arms, but also it allowed me to do other things on top of it, which was nice. So the big thing about this one is that the camera is down, down, down. It's down, riding up her. So her torso looks very long because of that. But I pretty much drew, relatively speaking, what I could. And then I tried to shift the torso, or the pelvis, and I ended up doing a lot more shifting down the line. But positioning, the hairs, the line weight, a lot of frills. God, so many fucking frills, dude. Why the fuck did I pick this one? Anyway, the important thing is the hand. The arm is good. The arm's position is good. The hands look solid. But there's just so much additional shit that I did with this. Getting the face right was a little tough. I'm not even sure if I got it necessarily correct. Biggest issue I took with that was the fact that this is one of those situations where without color, it loses a little bit, and that's because right here, this is a full tooth smile, but there's no line break indicating teeth. And because of that, when you don't color it in, you just get an open mouth, which my brain is trying to see it as teeth and open mouth at the same time, and it's conflicting. Alright. My brain is getting conflicted illustrations. Like, from what I know the reference is to what I'm like seeing. It's like when sometimes you draw a box. You ever draw a box and you don't know how to read it? I hate that shit. Like you draw like your fucking... I don't know how to draw a box. Uh-oh. I don't know how to draw a box. Oh no! Right, so you have a box like this, but then it's like, okay, now, and then you take the back side of the box. What am I doing? I don't know. Anyway, boxes are weird, because, like, you can see this as, like, front, side, bottom, but then you could also see it as, like... Well, actually, now I don't see it at all. You know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about boxes. Boxes don't matter anymore. Boxes are free. Okay. And that was it for arms. So, arms were a funny endeavor because even though arms was supposed to be the focus, and I did pick my references based on the movement of the arms, that fucking Hino is way too, way beyond my pay grade. Okay. And now, from arms, we go down to 6. 6 is hands. That's right, the extender. Starting with this one. So I found an artist who draws this squishy little creature, but they have a lot of detail put into their hands. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. I'll use that. So I went with this. This is the first repeat character. And you can see I got the head and the usual bits there, but then I have the outlines for the hands with flow of the fingers as well. In a position that I thought they were. The elbow was kind of weird, mind you, but there's a lot of foreshortening I wasn't really ready for. Which is still the case here. Head's not tilted far enough to the side, the hand's not brought close enough to the camera kind of deal. But overall, relative to what they're supposed to look like, not bad. What was nice about these is that they did kind of cut off the unimportant stuff, but they kind of have to, because if your focus is on hands, the camera needs to be focused on the upper body. So I did this one. And my head is a little longer. But I also did another one by the same artist because the hand, like I said, they just had really detailed hands. They had really detailed hands, so it was really good to use. But I stopped at using 2. I stopped at using 2 because I did, like I said before, I wanted to restrict the amount of artists I was using to only 1 per. But the hands were so good, so I had to give them a shot. So I didn't draw the goo because the goo was just way too much goo going on there. The important thing was the focus on the hands. So the camera is pretty much right under the knuckle. So I got the hand position there, and then the other hand, which is also holding the goo. So it's like generally speaking, the construction angle, as you see, I ended up being a lot sharper on the foreshortening bit. And the construction on the back arm is definitely way too pushed back, considering where you can see the reference sleeve. But it didn't matter too much. The end point is fine, but that point, the other point should have been going straight down. But that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. The important thing is the hands, and there's a lot of bends in the fingers and whatnot. Overall, not bad. I think it turned out pretty well. And at that point, I needed some references. I got this one. Second Remu. 3 Rumias and another Remu. My streamer. Alright. So this one was also foreshortening hell. As you can see by the brown, that was my attempt at the foreshortening in the arms, and it didn't quite hold accurate. The hands also got extended much forward. I fucked around with the fingers a lot to get them in the right position as well. Surprisingly, I think the head turned out well. It's not as tilted as the reference. but I think relative to my own construction, the face is positioned correctly, and I'm pretty happy with that. Her shoulders are popped up as well, but there's a lot of detail being obscured by the hair, so it kind of registers a little weird. But I did some thick outlines as well on more stuff, more line weight going on here. I just like putting lines down more than anything. Some shading as well, just kind of more smaller things I'm trying to do. The ribbon is pretty kind of whatevered because, well, it looks whatever to me. Although it's definitely super scratchy on mine. It shouldn't be as scratchy and like that. It's chaotic, but it shouldn't be as chaotic. That's all. And the last one I did, this reference was kind of insane, and actually getting it right was not gonna happen. That's for sure. This one's fucking ridiculous. Like, oh, that's the wrong one. Look at this shit. How the fuck was I ever gonna get this one? I guess, you know, be ambitious, but this reference is fucking magical. It's astounding how good this image is. It has so much going on in it. It's insane. Oops. Okay, so for mine, the hand should have been bigger. I didn't even bother going on with the pelvis. I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on down there. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. But I put the things in the position that I thought. But there's so much going on in this art that makes it so effective. The extremely strong border on the fist indicated its range of motion, which is great. There's smear lines on the elbow as well that also indicating subtly that there's motion, that you don't even really notice this, but it's really emphasizing the fact that she just swung her fist forward. Because you can see how the big heavy ink border blends into the background, and it's like a movement splatter. So your brain's just kind of like, oh, movement splatter, heavy movement, heavy ink on the fist equals move. And it's like, ooh, that's so cool. That's really fucking cool. The detail on all the jewelry is insane. Like, legitimately, look at this. Look at this one fucking ring. And it's just like, okay, now do it for every other ring, my guy. Like, why are you even doing this? Look at this. Why? Why so much? There's so much detail in this image. Fucking Jesus. It's an incredible image. It is a genuinely incredible image, and trying to do it was not really gonna happen. I tried my best. I did. I tried my best, but fucking Jesus, that, like, even just looking at it, like, everything was intimidating, but this one was, like, legitimately just, the longer I looked at it, the more I was like, I can't measure up to that. I can't measure up to that. That shit's insane. At least what I did isn't completely off. What I did is fine, but, like, it's just comparatively to what I was basing it on, it's like, fuck, man. It's like the repainted Mona Lisa right there. Still, I did try. I gave it my best shot. Alright. And that brings us to legs. Now we're going to legs, and which is essentially full body at this point. So we got legs. So things started to take a turn for this one. Oh shit. So I have a couple things here. So I have my construction, as you can see. Got the head, neck, shoulders, torso, arms, hands, stomach, pelvis, legs, and the feet, which are blocked in. But then, so what I've been doing before is I did the construction, then I would start the redraw. But this time I decided to start blocking things in a little more. So I still follow the reference, mind you, but this was my rough draft. This was draft 1. So I did my best to it, but when I got to like the hair, I didn't do the individual bangs, I only did the outline of the shape. So right now she's kind of got like a Kaguya going on with the outline there. The eyes are also just kind of a vague shape. There's not really any detail there in the face. It's all just kind of as it is. And then from there, on top of it. and you can kind of see the overlap. There's some adjustments made because I had to shift the arms a bit to make sure they were grasping the ears. Because for the reference, there's more push on the torso, so I had to adjust mine. Her head's also more forward, so I had to make adjustments to make mine match up, but not like completely overhaul the body. Mine's legs aren't as long either. Mine's legs aren't as long, but there's heavy line weight. The eyes as well. I tried to I really tried to capture what was going on with the eyes, but I think there's something about the call of the void in her eyes that I wasn't able to quite get. Still, I was able to get something going on there, so it's not the end of the world. Okay. So yeah, that was the rough outline for that one. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this one went from just hands to start doing full body. So the next one is annoying because I had so many things I had to fix over and over that I'm not even sure I was overall correct with. And the reason for that is because I can't tell if these proportions are too long. This bitch is long. Look at her. She's got bayonetta legs. God damn it. So again, same deal. We get the construction. So the pose itself is pretty, you know, jut out, go back, and then the legs go down. And you got that. So the construction's there. The head's small. I got my rough draft. Here's the rough draft. As you can see, there's a big fucking split in the middle because I had to extend the torso. But there was still so much going on there. The feet are also just... they moved out of the shoes. That's fine, though. That's fine. And then finally, this situation where, again, my legs aren't as long, and I'm not really bothered by that because I think the more I looked at the reference, the more I wasn't sure if I was wrong or they have a fetish. Like, legitimately, I was having trouble figuring out if I just didn't make the legs long enough or if this artist just has a fetish for long legs. Because I was fighting the fucking body to get it to be correct. Like, I think I have the collarbones too high, or like there's not enough space between the boobs and the collarbone area, so they're too high in that regard. And maybe the waist could be extended a bit further. But like I said, I was fighting it for a while. A big difference is you can see more of the lateral on the under the coat, where on mine the coat is lower, so it's covering more. And I'm not sure. Like, you can kind of see the beginning of the armpit in the reference, but for mine, it's completely covered. And I'm not sure if that's affecting my perception of the torso size as a result of that. I really don't know. But yeah, I fought with this one for a while to try to get it right. But I gotta do more fur texture. I got to do more fur texture in the ears, which turned out pretty well. In the braids, I definitely did not try. Well, I mean, I did, but... Look, I looked at the reference and I was like, okay, they don't want to do detailed braids. I don't want to do detailed braids. We've met our match, and that I did not do detailed braids as a result. I was too busy fighting the fucking body, dude. Too much leg. The focus was leg. That's why I chose it. But the more I looked at it, I was like, are these too long? Because I was looking at Race and I was like, Racen's got long legs too, but she's got a skirt, so it was fine. But then here, where the bunny suit cuts off like the ace point or above the ace point, it's like I don't know anymore. I have too much information. I can't process it. All right, well, that's that one. Next one. Where is it? This one. Okay. I gotta be real careful about which one I open here. That's for sure. All right, so we got Lily in a position that was kind of silly. So let me show how this one went down. So this one's a little unique. As you can see, there's a construction here, and there's also the rough over it. And the reason for that is because this is the original construction. This right here was my original construction. I was like, what? This was not right. This was not right. So what I ended up doing was I took the reference and I blocked over it. And this is the shape that I got from constructing over the reference, not next to the reference. And using the red outline, I used that effectively as my reference for drawing the blue one here. And then from there I made the rough. And then from there, I made the lily. So, my lily is older. Poofier hair, longer face, older. There's a couple aspects in this reference that confused me in a couple places, mainly with the arms. But I tried to account for them as best I could. I gave a little bit of shading as well, because these are supposed to be tights. They're not her bare legs. But I only really used one brush for it. But this is older Lily for sure. Still, it turned out really well. Hands are in the right spot. Hair's fine. Hair's good. Like I said, the arms in the reference, like, I felt like they were going really far. So I had to kind of figure out what I was doing with that and kind of correct them. You can see here with my construction. This is my construction and how I see how fucking far down the upper arm goes. I know it's foreshortened at the forearm, but I was like, this is ridiculous. So it changed. It changed. It wasn't so bad here, but the arm here kind of bothered me in its position anyway. Okay. But overall, pretty good. Got it right in the end, so that's all that matters. Okay, so this next one I need to be careful, because I might be taking a vacation if I open the wrong thing here. Okay. Alright, okay. Where is it? Thank God there's a version of this that is already censored, but this one was really annoying because despite there not really being anything to draw but the body itself is so important that you can't really afford to get it wrong. So this took forever to get right. So there's your construction. There's your construction. You see how jutted out the waist is? The legs are also hella foreshortened, but ultimately with the rough here that I did, I shrunk back the legs, but I brought it in quite a significant amount. But it was rough. It was rough. And then look at the difference from the rough to the final. Like, I pushed her chest out more because she was really thin. It was kind of scaring me. Getting the arms in the right position as well was rough. The tail turned out pretty good. The lats are okay. I had to work on the butt a couple times to get it in the right spot. The leg, I end up pushing down a little bit more, making it a little wider. The back leg as well. The hands on the... yeah. And then more for texture. Hair wasn't too complicated, but there's a lot of very thin lining in that one. So this one was pretty tough. I didn't think it would be as hard because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of clothes. There wasn't, well, actually, there wasn't any clothes at all. There wasn't any clothes at all. That black bar I added earlier today. That's drawn under there, but there's something there, so now you don't have to, I don't have to take a 3-day vacation. The actual reference, don't ask me why, but this particular reference has 2 versions. I saved both of them just in case. Good thing I did, because I have a reference I can actually show you. And that would pretty much mark the end of it, chat. That marked the end of it. But, like, I didn't go with feet, and I didn't do full body, but I did one last one. I did one final one, to wrap up. Okay. I did one final one to wrap up, one extra one. And this one was basically full body, minus, well, the lower leg, I guess. But this is the last one I did. Same deal. So at this point, construction, and then layer 1, first draft of it, and then final draft. I shrunk her waist a lot. Probably should feed her some more food. But I learned that doing the chords the way I did them was extremely tedious, and I will probably never do it like that again. What I did was, as you can see with the first draft, I have the red line, and in the final draft here, I tried to draw parallel to the red line. That was a fucking nightmare. Absolute nightmare. So instead, I think I'm just gonna take a solid block of line and then line the edge of it. That's what I think I'll do in the future. Alright. But that was the last one I did for that. So, but we're not done, chat. We're not actually done. Okay. We're not done. So that was the end of Akimaki. What the fuck? No, not Akimaki. What's his name? Akihito. So that was the last I did of that. But then I also got a... I started with some other videos recently as well. And this one was more... still more reference drawing, but this time things are different. So, I'll show you how I've been structured to do these. So I have a couple of these. You can see who it is by the name, but I'm gonna show you the reference anyway. So here's the reference. I have this one set up in a different way so you can see it. So here's the reference. So I have different layers down here. So I have initially the rough draft. This is the rough. Like, this is the thing where I basically just freeballed the shit out of it based on what I saw. Look at that. Terrible. But that's okay. So after that, I put the construction over it. Using the freeballed rough, I applied construction to make it seem more accurate. And from there, I applied the next draft, which takes us here. Now we have the construction, and we have the follow-out following that. And then we have the final draft. And there we have the final draft. Not that much different, admittedly. It's not that much different, but it's just cleaning up parts. Specifically, you see, I did block in the hair here. The hair is blocked in here, but in the final rendition, there's not really that much bangage going on, so they don't really notice it. But you'll notice right away that my Suiko is tall. My Suiko is tall. But after that, we get the line art. And we get the line art where... So now I'm doing lining again. I'm doing my lining. And color. And there we go. I have color. I have colored her bowl. When I looked at this, you know that scene in Bocchi when the blonde girl... When the blonde girl sees the club manager and she turns like real and turns into Squish? That's what I saw with this. So mine ended up being taller, and I kind of just rolled with it. I didn't really try to make it chibi. The problem was the hands, because the hands are squishy, and I was using them as reference. So I was like, how the fuck do I turn these into more realistic hands? So did a good enough job with it. Did a good enough job of this. This is probably gonna get this VOD muted, so I'm just gonna skip this. Well, let's hope I don't have any problems with that in the future. Alright, so I couldn't figure out how to get this bloom to work, but Slash showed me. If I add like a luminous layer, I think it was. Let me see. New layer. New layer. New correction layer for luminosity. And if you up the luminosity by 25. Alright. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? It didn't work. Okay, well, how about this then? There we go. There. You said he upped the luminosity, and it better reflected what was going on with it. It's still black line, but the colors are just lighter, and I didn't use lighter colors. But when you brighten all my color choices, it does make it look a little more accurate to the reference color. So that was the first one I did. And we have our next one. Okay. Here we go. We have Yomu. So, same deal as before. We have our very, very rough draft. Very rough. Look at that shit. Understand that shit. Then we apply the construction to it. The shoulders got very shrunken in. And the arm got slimmed down. The hand got slimmed down. But position-wise, things are now more accurate. And then our draft. Over the construction. There's a couple pieces missing on her. But there's a reason for that. Okay, that's the draft. But then we have the final draft, which is this one. So I brought the head down, or the face down. I brought the whole head down, and I made some changes and adjustments to the size of different spots. So that's the final draft. Then we have the line art. We got the line art here. Okay. Oh me. But I also have colored line art. Why do I have colored line art? Because I have color. Wow. Look at that. Color. So the colored line art is a part of it to accentuate different parts. Because a lot of this one here, there's like pretty much no true black being used in the lining here at all. Some of it doesn't have any lining at all. But like the hair is silver. The face is the closest that you can get to like black on it, but most of it is a highlighted color of the color it's attached to. So my colors are a lot darker. Well, not darker, but there's a difference of lightness to it, as you can see. There's a difference of lightness to it. Mine's more on the red hue. These are more on the blue hue. But, you know, I'm learning. Sculpted the bits on the sword. I actually didn't sculpt the band. I had lining for most of it, but then I sculpted around it. Same with the little ghost on her pocket. This as well. This pretty much I didn't erase the line, but I pretty much made it the same color as it. And then the ears as well. I had lineage, but I just colored the lines to match it so it kind of disappears. So there's not a lot of like heavier line on it in general. It turned out really well. Yeah, mine, all of my colors are in the hue of red, and the reference has a lot more lineage to blue, so I'm on kind of the other side of the color wheel. What the hell? Okay. Alright. Here's the next one. Oh. Creature. Here is Creature. Alright. So same deal. This is the process I've been doing. Rough draft. Creature. So there's our rough. And then again, we have our construction that goes on top of it. Well, not on top of it per se, but you know what I mean. So as you can see, the head moved down and became more like, you know, less like a Rugrat head. And the pelvis got reined in. Pelvis got reined in. For the most part though, everything is where it needs to be. And then here's our first rough. So here the hair blocking is more visible because you see how the bangs are quite flowy. There's a lot of stuff going on in the bangs here. So I did follow the reference, but the face is blank. The face is blank, and the hair has the outline of the blanks I want to fill in, but no actual detail of it yet. So you can see the different spots of what I'm looking for in them, except the back of the head, I suppose. And I can fill them in as I go. Like here, this is just this. And if you look at the reference, it's basically that shape, but with a triangle cut out. so I can just kind of do that like that. But it beats having... It also lets me kind of organize the position of the hair, because an issue I was having with hair a lot... an issue I was having with hair a lot was that it was not ending up in the right spot, and then it was exploding way too beyond the head. It was exploding way too far beyond the head, or not far enough, and it was really annoying. But this hair blocking method has been doing me wonders. But of course, we have the final draft. Oops. So the final draft, which, as you can see, it's pretty much going the way that the first draft went. But now the hair is there. The hair is there. The eyes have been positioned a little bit as well. And a couple more, there's a couple things that were adjusted or changed a little bit. But the hair is there, that's the important part. And then we have the lines. We got our line art. And then our colored lines, which are important for the color. There's the color. There's Ruma. So, my colors, once again, somehow not in the right hue. You would think they would be this time because the background's pink, but no. There's still more red on mine. There's still more red on mine. Good. But I colored the lines, most of them, little rim light on the side. Followed the reference to the best of my ability. And the blonde that I used, is not as golden, I guess. I did do a highlight as well. I could not figure out how to really get the top of the head right, so it is kind of dirty. It's kind of dirty, but overall, it does what it needs to do. It really is neat to me how when I started these. Oh yeah, there's the color only. I should do that as well. And you can see what it looks like with only the color. That's pretty cool. Sometimes you lose like some of the bits of the face, but it's cool to see that she's become silent. No, it's cool to me how like when I've done these, they pretty much start as like this. Like that is the soul. That is the soul of the image. Is this fucking creature. And somehow it turns into this. It's like magic, truly. It's like magic. Okay. One sec. I would like to save these. Save these back in their finished positions. I got one more though. I do have one more. This one I just finished earlier today. Okay. Alright. This is the last one. That's the wrong one. I mean, it wasn't, but that was the wrong one. This is the right one. There we go. Okay. There we go. So, same deal. There's our rough, as you can see, very extended. Very extended. And then we have our construction, which is going into the rough. Very elongated. Very elongated, but I figured that was necessary given the push of it. And then our first draft. Here's our first draft. There you go. You see the hair is blocked in. The hat is blocked in as well because it's stupid. But everything is trying more or less to follow what it's supposed to. And then we have our final draft, which has the details on the hair and the details on the hat. There's our final draft. And then our line. We have our lines here. And then color. And that was what you saw a second ago when I posted the wrong one. Oh my. So, colors are hard. I added some more shading to this one because it's a lot of flat coloring based on what I thought would be right. I added a highlight as well, but the main shading was mostly on the skin tone down here, as you can see, and the gloves, which are not quite the same shade. The whites are a little varied, but not too varied. The expression as well. Yeah, getting that. The shading in the back of the hair. The wings as well, a little different, a little chalky. And the hat has some soft shading in it, too. I know it seems weird, the pupils are hearts, but that is what they are in the reference. But it's very dark and it's hard to see. Mine stand out a little more. Now that I look at it, mine stand out more and I'm not really sure why. I guess it's because I don't have as much of a dark, like, the dark to light is brighter than the reference, so it sticks out more. Anyway, I just finished this one earlier today. So, what does that mean? It means I get to go home now. I'm done. I've done my job. All right, now die. One sec. Yeah, it's fine. Save as. So that was the last one I did, chat, and that is basically a month of art. It started. Hold on. It started with this, and it's currently at this. That's quite a difference, I'd say. Oh my. So my plan next, I have another video to watch. I got another video to watch, and then from that video, I will be doing more references, but with more information under my belt, and that's kind of how I've been doing it. I'm pretty much doing the same structure that I did with the Akihito stuff, but instead of applying construction, I'm learning details and trying to apply details as I keep them in mind, but also I'm going to continue doing references and lining and coloring and learning like that, and I'll learn more information as I continue to draw pictures. That's my plan. So there you go. Well, thank you for watching, if you watched all this. And I'll just see what I can manage in the future. Goodbye.